You're so caught up in the how and the when, you start pushing that goal that you're trying to achieve further and further away because you're not being the person that it requires to have those things. Hey, you're back. Welcome to an inside look into the mind of Josh Perry. With that being said, I'm your host, Josh Perry. Last week I talked about what feels safe sometimes, what feels comfortable, what feels easy. Those are often the very thing that enables the problem we're experiencing. And until we become aware of that problem, of that enabler, whether it's a person, an activity, lack of activity, a substance, whether it's food, alcohol, drugs, caffeine, whatever it is, sometimes the things that just feel easy, no resistance, are the very things that enable the problem we're experiencing and don't want to experience anymore. But because we're not aware of it, but because we're so conditioned and so in it, and we don't have the self-awareness to look at ourselves, or we feel resistance each time we try to question something, or someone says, hey, maybe you shouldn't be doing that, or hey, maybe you shouldn't be hanging out with them, or you watch something, you consume some content, and then you start to think that on your own, maybe I shouldn't be doing this anymore. Maybe I should be doing that. Maybe I shouldn't be hanging out with those people. Maybe I shouldn't keep putting this thing off that I need to do, that I keep saying I want to do. When you're met with that resistance, that's because you're accepting change. And to change is to overcome yourself on a biological, chemical, neurological, physiological, spiritual and emotional and energetic aspect. You're literally overcoming who you were just a minute ago or yesterday or last year. And in order to change, you have to become uncomfortable. Because when you do decide to change, that resistance is because you're doing something that's new, new. Your body's trying to protect you from the unknown because it's no longer familiar. You're thinking differently, you're feeling differently, you're doing things differently. You're smelling, tasting, hearing things differently. Your perspective's changed. And that's not what your body's used to. Because think about how, like in this moment, think about, okay, I want to change some aspect of my life. Think about something that comes to mind. Think about it for a second. Give it some time. Give it some energy. Now, think about all the years prior where you just were on autopilot. You know, nutrition is a really easy one. That's a passion of mine. That's where my heart is. That's what I help a lot of people with. And for me, I reflect on 10 years ago, what I was doing and what it took me to wake up. Think about that for yourself. Now, it could be nutrition. It could be a relationship that you're in, or something you need to do, or something you need to learn, or whatever it may be. But think about how long you've been participating in that aspect of your life. And think about how much of that time that you were participating in there that you didn't think about it. You weren't conscious to it. It was what it was. You just did it. You didn't think much about it. Didn't take much energy. Didn't take much time. Didn't take much effort. You know, you just were in it, and, you know, it could be going to work every day. You know, a lot of people don't enjoy their job, but they get up every day for the most part, 5 days, let's say 5 out of 7 days of the week. They get up, they have their same routine, they do the same thing that they don't enjoy, and they don't think about it. You know, like you can't expect change to be easy or to not be confronted with resistance when you've been doing that thing that you want to change for so long without any awareness to it. And so when I decided to stop competing professionally, it was the start of 2017. I had just come off my best season ever competing professionally in 2016, which I was coming off of an ACL surgery, which was the longest time I've been off my bike since I started riding at a young age as a kid. And I was driven for the 2017 season. I was on fire. I was focused. I was taking every aspect of my life serious with the perspective that I was going to improve it to compete on another level, to become the best version of myself. And then to start off the year, February, I had a routine MRI that revealed a third brain tumor diagnosis. It left me with 2 additional brain tumors in my brain. These 2 are on the opposite side of the original surgery that was in 2010. And for those that don't know, the surgery was successful in removing the tumor, but the artery and optic nerve that the tumor was wrapped around left some complications and some risks that the doctors couldn't get all the cells. So 2 years later, 2 areas had grown back that were revealed from an MRI. And the surgery was out of the question. It was not worth the risk. And we decided to go to gamma knife radiotherapy to basically zap and shrink the tumors for about 4 years till that point. And then this third diagnosis showed that those 2 tumors that were zapped and shrunk were stable, but there was an additional 2 on the right side of my brain. The original tumor was on the left side, 2 areas that grew back on the left side. So now I have 4, and I still live with these 4. But that third diagnosis is ultimately what led me to the ketogenic lifestyle, regulating my blood sugar, understanding inflammation and free radicals, and just the signaling aspects of ketones themselves, which I'll have to do an episode strictly talking about, blood sugar and ketones. But that third diagnosis is what really got me thinking, how can I leverage this to help myself and to help other people? And it led me to my purpose today, which allowed me to step away from BMX competition professionally and go all in on a path that I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I just knew I wanted to use these experiences and these bits of knowledge and these tools I've been acquiring over the years. I want to share them with people because I want people to become the best version of themselves without having such a catastrophic wake-up call that I've had to go through many times. And then I started experiencing the resistance of change. Throughout the months and years, which was about a little over 3.5 years ago now, I'd say. 3.5 years exactly. Started noticing this uneasy feeling and this questioning of who I am and what am I doing with my life. Like it was almost like a quarter life crisis. I was about 26, 27, depending on the part of the year, and I was questioning who I was. I had so much of my identity, my personality wrapped up in BMX because I did that over half my life at the time, and I wanted to change that, and I changed it radically without thinking. And thankful I didn't think about it because I probably wouldn't have gone the way I did. But that resistance was because I was changing every aspect of my being. I wasn't doing the same things in the same manner anymore. I wasn't thinking the same way. I wasn't living the same way. I wasn't focused on one thing that I was focused on for so many years. And so I was met with this resistance and this challenge of who am I now if I'm not the BMX athlete? And that led me to understanding a lot of things because, again, I had this weird feeling that I needed to learn more about the mind. And it just so happened that a friend introduced me to Dr. Joe Dispenza, who talks a lot about your subconscious and your conscious and the different elements of your life and how they're made up of this yin-yang relationship. And until you're aware, you don't know. And so the point of today's episode is becoming aware, and it's steps to change. And unless you're aware that the body's going to feel super uncomfortable when you decide to change something about your life, especially something that's been the way it's been for years, and especially as we get older and it just gets more cemented in, it's going to be difficult. But when you understand that it's going to be challenging, not even difficult, challenging, when you understand that going into a change, you take so much power back right then and there because you're acknowledging the route that you're about to go on. You're not going to be faced with these, random acts of challenges. You're going to know, hey, this is going to be a little challenging, but I want you to know I've done it and you can do it too. Many other people have done it. And that's why I share, because if someone can see someone that looks like them, that sounds like them, or has a similar goal or similar interest, and they were able to do something that they're thinking about doing, that's what has helped me get to where I am today. And I see that in BMX. When a rider landed a new trick for the first time, I was like, damn, that's possible? And I went out and learned it. I could have learned it before. I could have been the first one to do it. I've done that with other tricks. But it took seeing someone do something and me having an interest in it to have the belief in myself to do it. So when you understand that a change is going to be challenging, you take the power back and it becomes less challenging. So the first step to change, though, is creating consciousness or awareness of what you want to change and why. Because unless you know what it is you want to change, you're not going to change. Unless you know why, you're not going to stick with it. And if you don't know what you want to change, but you're unhappy with where you are, think about the things you want to be doing, having, feeling, how you want to think, who you want to be with. What are the experiences you want to have? Where do you want to see? Where do you want to go? And then if you're not doing those things, then there you go. Think about why. Why not? Why don't you have the money you want? Why don't you have the relationships that you want to have? Why don't you look the way you want to do? Why don't you feel and think the way you want? But that leads into step 2, acceptance and accountability. You need to accept that you're the problem. It's no one else. There's nothing that's in your way besides yourself. And once you get out of your own way, the possibilities open up. So step 2 is acceptance and taking accountability for your life. Because once you accept that you're the problem, you ultimately accept that you're the solution. And that's empowering. That's powerful. But it takes understanding what it is you want to change and why. And then accepting that you're the reason why. Taking accountability. That's self-awareness. In step 3, I kind of mentioned this already, but it's auditing. What do I want? What do I want in my life? That's going to be your target. That's going to be your goal, and goal is an overused word, I feel like, today, but think of it as a target. That's what you're aiming for. But understand that it doesn't stop there because we're humans. Once we get to where we want to go, or once we have what we want, or we're experiencing what we want, it's not enough. We want to progress. We're hardwired to progress. That's what America was founded on. It's competition. But we're always competing with ourselves. When we start competing with other people, we start comparing and contrasting and judging. That's when we feel uneasy about ourselves. That's when the doubts come in. That's when the limiting beliefs come in. That's when the self-sabotage and the self-talk in a negative manner comes in. But when you're comparing yourself, you're auditing yourself to your yesterday's version, that's when you can start making momentum. But it takes consciousness to where you are and why you're doing what you're doing, and then accepting that you're the problem, taking accountability for your reality, and then auditing the aspects of your life that you want to change. Is it your financial situation? Is it your health? Is it your relationships, your spirituality, your creativity, your education? Is it your career? Like all of these things. It's auditing and being realistic with yourself. Really looking at yourself and asking if you're happy with this area of your life. Are you happy with your health? Are you happy the way you're looking or showing up today? Are you happy with your finances? Are you happy with the quality of your relationships or lack thereof? Are you happy with the activities that you enjoy doing or not doing? Are you not doing the things you want to do? Do you feel bad about that? Do you wish you were doing more of those things? Are you happy with your knowledge or your position at work? What would it take to get to the next level? And that's the question that I want you to ask is, what would it take? Or how can I? Stop telling yourself that you can't. You can't closes your brain off. You can't solidifies your darkest beliefs right then and there. But when you say that you want something and you immediately follow up with, what would it take to have this? What would it take to do this? Or how can I do this? Or how can I acquire this? Or how can I be like this? How can I feel like this? How can I think like this? When you start doing that, you start giving yourself so much power. Because once you take accountability for where you are, and then you start asking yourself empowering questions, you're not limiting yourself, limiting your ability for your brain to think and connect and come up with new ideas. Once you start doing that, you're going to see so many opportunities. You're going to see so much potential to create the life that you want. And that's the 4th step, is focused action. Because once you become conscious of what your life is like, your reality, your personal reality, and your personality, and you accept and you take accountability for yourself and your life, and then you audit what you truly do want and any aspect of your life that you want to improve, then you focus all the action that's required. So an easy way to do that is, if you want X and you're down here at Y, what are the steps it's going to take to get to there? What's it going to take to get from point A to point B? Start at point B and reverse engineer the path. And for me, looking at virtual mentors was a great way for me to get inspiration, motivation, optimism, creativity, just dissecting other people's paths that I see as successful in all walks of life, seeing what they did and thinking about, what can I do? How can I do this my way? How can I apply that to my life and my goals? And then being focused on the action. And I'm going to talk more about that as the episodes go, because that's where I am right now. I'm realizing I spread myself so thin, but not anymore. I have a singular focus. And that's what is allowing me to take action today and record these. That's what is allowing me to show up as my best self and to focus on improving myself and understanding that it takes these steps. And then the fifth step is commitment and discipline. People always ask me, Josh, how do I get more motivation? Or what does it take to be motivated? Well, it takes that question, because clearly you're not motivated. But it's not anything I'm going to say, anything you're going to read in a book. It's not going to be anything anyone else, even the best motivational speaker, Eric Thomas. There's nothing he's going to say that's going to get you motivated long term. Yeah, maybe you'll feel it in the moment. Motivation is nothing but an elevated level of energy in the moment. Commitment and discipline, doing the work each day, even if you don't feel like doing it, that's where the motivation's built from. That's because you're creating momentum. You're doing the work every day and you're feeling better about yourself. You're feeling good. You're making progress. You're building this heightened level of energy and this momentum that's going to carry through. That's going to create the motivation. But you should really be looking at inspiration, change in motivation, inspiration. Why do you want to do something? Find that purpose. Why do you want to have these things? But that takes looking at yourself. That takes self-awareness. That takes accountability. And the majority of people listening to this, and the majority of people out there, myself included in the past, weren't willing to look at themselves, weren't willing to face the reality and to take accountability for them being the problem. They weren't able to accept that where they are in their life that they're not happy with, or where they are that they're happy with, they weren't willing to accept that they're the cause. They either make excuses for why they can't, or they make excuses for why they did. They don't celebrate or accept that they're the cause of the reality they're living in, whether they want to label that as quote unquote good or bad. So step 5 is commitment and discipline. That's going to create the momentum that you want. That's going to create the motivation that you seek. Something I'm going to say, something you're going to read or see. It's the inspiration. It's the momentum you build from doing the work. And step 6 is having faith and surrendering to the journey, surrendering to the process, surrendering to the unknown, trusting the process. That was a huge thing that has been taking me a lot of effort to get into the zone of feeling that faith and that trust and stepping into the unknown. Focusing on the what and the why and letting go of the when. Letting go of the how. Just being super, super dialed in on the what and even more so on the why. The when and the how come together when you let go. And that's what's interesting about surrendering and trusting the process, having faith. When you decide to do that, you decide to just let go and you detach yourself from an outcome and a specific time to that outcome. Now, I'm not saying don't set SMART goals, don't set goals with time frames and different ways to measure those goals. But I'm saying when you can detach yourself from feeling a certain way when you get A, when you get B, I'll feel this when this happens. I'll feel this way if. When you stop saying that shit and you just surrender, it's amazing how fast pieces come together and you literally speed up time. Because the longer you attach yourself and you have this sense of control on the how and the why, or the how and the when, and you're forgetting the what and the why. You're so caught up in the how and the when, you start pushing that goal that you're trying to achieve further and further away. Because you're not being the person that it requires to have those things. And that's what I'm experiencing. The more I focus on what is that person like that's going to have that wealth, that's going to have that abundance, that's going to have that freedom, that's going to have that confidence, that health. When I start focusing on what that person is going to be like, and I focus my intentions and my energy every day to becoming that person, I let go of the how and the when. I start seeing those things come together even quicker than I expected, even quicker than I wanted to. But that's the challenge. The challenge is overcoming yourself. So the steps to change, I just listed 6 steps, but the ultimate step is to learn how to overcome yourself. And that's what these steps do. Step 1, develop consciousness and awareness around your reality and your personal reality, or your personality and your personal reality. Step 1, consciousness and awareness. Step 2, accept that you're the problem. Accept that you're the cause, but you're also the solution. You're also the cause of what you want. Take accountability for your life and for where you are in your life. Step 3, audit what you truly do want. And if you can't think of what you want, think of what you don't want and then flip it. I don't want to be broke. Okay, then you want to have financial wealth. Okay, I don't want to feel sick and tired. All right, so you want to be healthier and stronger. You want to be energized. It's as simple as that. Flip what you don't want. Step 4, focused action. Pick a virtual mentor. Pick a future version of yourself as point B. You're at point A. What's it going to take to get to point B? But understand that point B is going to morph into something else. We're humans. We're hardwired for progression. Step 5, commitment and discipline. Those are the tools that's going to create the momentum and the motivation that you seek. It's not anything you're going to read or see or hear. It's literally you getting up every day and overcoming yourself to be committed to the process, to be disciplined to do the things that you know it's going to take to get to that next level. And step 6, having faith and surrendering or trusting the process, embracing the journey, falling in love with the journey. All those 6 steps really lead up to overcoming yourself. And if you can overcome yourself, then you can create the future vision of yourself and the reality which you want to live. So at the end of the day, all we're ever doing is we're trying to become our best self by overcoming our past self.